Hi everyone, it's Ryan 1940 here, and today we are looking at War on the Sea again. The last time we left off, we saw Zuikaku and her air wing attack a small task force led by USS Newark. Since then, Zuikaku has continued to attack small allied task forces comprised of light cruisers and destroyers. Shokaku is also conducting air operations in the eastern Coral Sea and continues to attack small, lightly armed task forces. Typically, we find much success using bow dive bombers against destroyers and Kate-level bombers against the light cruisers. I've found there's incredible attrition when we use the Kates with the torpedo loadout, so we're not using that against light cruisers and destroyers. There's been an increased level of activity south and southeast of Milne Bay, so we've sent Task Force 22, led by Musashi, into the area to patrol and attack enemy ships. Our air coverage on this side of the Coral Sea is extremely limited. The only attack aircraft that we can employ are the Betty bombers that come from Rabaul. Unfortunately, they're not very effective against small ships like light cruisers and destroyers. It is now the morning of September 23rd. Newly minted Task Force 27, led by battleship Hiei, has relieved Task Force 22, which has sailed to Rabaul to rearm. At 0654, lookouts on Hiei spot 3 destroyers through the morning haze. The task force increases speed and moves in to engage them. At 0657, the cruiser Furutaka comes under fire from the destroyers. The ships of Task Force 27 still are unable to target the enemy. A scout plane from the cruiser Myoko is ordered to fly near the area where Hiei spotted the ships. A minute later, the scout airplane reports the location of 1 Gleaves-class destroyer and 2 Fletcher-class destroyers sailing in formation approximately 10,000 yards from Hiei. The destroyer division, led by the destroyer Okinami, races towards the enemy destroyer division while firing star shells to illuminate the target better for the cruisers and battleship Hiei. By 0701, the American destroyers circle back towards Task Force 27 and begin to receive hits. The destroyers now focus on Okinami and exchange fire at 7,400 yards. At 0703, Okinami changes course to 177 to protect the cruisers in Hiei from any potential destroyer torpedo attempt. At the same time, this maneuver will allow the rest of the destroyer division to get more guns onto the USS Eberly. Hiei also drives south and begins firing broadsides with the cruisers Furutaka and Myoko in tow. This has a devastating effect on the destroyer USS Hutchins, who begins to slow from sustained damage. By 0708, USS Hutchins begins to sink as the Japanese destroyer line sails past in the background. With USS Hutchins sinking nearby, the second Fletcher-class destroyer USS Renshaw comes under fire from Hiei. The Gleaves-class destroyer USS Eberly drives north in an attempt to escape the Japanese destroyer gun line just 6,500 yards away. After extensive damage from the primary and secondary batteries on board Hiei, USS Renshaw begins to sink at approximately 0713. The remaining survivor, USS Eberly, continues to try and run, but can only make 20 knots. The task force now turns north to chase her down. A few minutes later, at 0716, USS Renshaw's bow becomes heavy from flooding and she slows to a halt, sinking shortly thereafter. By 0730, Task Force 27 reassembles its patrolling formation and departs the area with no losses or damage to report.